going to press escape. I'm out. And now I'm back here. So by default, you also see the character, and you can see that this is where the camera is going to be. Whenever you have any asset in Unreal, you can right-click it and go Browse to Asset, and it'll find it in the structure, and it's going to say third-person character. I'm going to double-click it. It's on the other screen. Let me just bring that over. So it's telling me this is what that object is, the character that we just clicked on. If I go to Viewport, we'll see what the asset is. We have a camera. So interesting thing here is that if I move the camera a little bit higher, for example, just going to move it up. And I'm going to get rid of the snap. So now if I play, the camera is going to be higher. Hang on a second. Having these on multiple screens. Actually, what I could do is I'm going to... this is called Pi, play in editor. So it's going to create a new window where the game is, and that normally when you do that, the game now is running inside this window and it's on top of everything. So for example, if I was in here, you can press play from any window in Unreal, and it's going to open up this little window. So now this is much easier for our stream, so we can actually see it. Go. So I'm just going to set it up like this. Now let's see what this feels like. So now we have a view where mostly the character is small. So it depends on what you want to do with your game. What's funny is the Unreal comes with a lot of stuff that, like, so if you wanted to have punches, for example, you can even go into you could go into Unreal and just set a pose and say, this is my punch. And there you go. When you press a button, it just blends to that using the like a state machine or something, or simply in the animation blueprint of the character, you can do all that kind of stuff. But the other thing you could do too is, if you want to see a proper punch, like a character doing all kinds of combat and stuff, instead of T-posing, what you can do is, just for the sake of understanding how it works, is if you can't do the animation yourself, no worries. Just try the marketplace. You're going to find a whole bunch of animations there. Try it out, see how they got it, and plug it into the game, see if it looks good, and then try to do it yourself. Try to find software that allows you to be able to animate it. Oh yeah, it is funny. Whenever you see a T-pose, I always feel bad, because usually a T-pose means something's gone wrong. There's no animator that would ever want that to happen, and that's usually like a bad communication between the animators and the. Sometimes you have an actual engineer that's specifically there just to create the animation graph and all that stuff. I'm gonna probably go over that a little bit later, just a tiny bit. So the other fun thing that should be happening now, and something you should consider while you're working, is that any changes I make, like this asset, we made a change. We can save it if we want to. What's the difference between compile and save? Sometimes the changes that you make, they're live. So sometimes you have to compile, which means go and check the stuff I put in here as far as logic goes, because we can have we have this thing called the event graph. All right, so don't get scared. These are basically the things that happen while you're playing the game and pressing buttons. This is saying, if I press this button, what do I do? And these are the functions. This is the thing I was saying, that this is the visual aspect of coding. So if I press play, for example, and I'm going to move this over here, maybe make it smaller. All right, so I have my game here. You'll notice I have these live wires, because it's detected that there's a version of this asset running currently, and as I'm using the keyboard, if I had this open, there you go. So as I'm using, see, I just pressed the A button, and we see that in that section there that says jump, it's activating. And it's basically going to a function called jump and then stop jumping. And that goes for everything. Like right now it's always looking at what I'm doing with the axis. like if I turn, if I move, and all that, and that data is always being think of it as it's live. It's pushing the data out. But you can do all kinds of stuff where you can say, when I jump, just make a thing on the screen pop up saying I have jumped, for example. So I'm going to go print. I'm just going to type. See how easy that was? Here, I'll do it again. You just go to basically this is a function, and these little white lines are the execution of these functions and these events. So I'm just going to drag one out and then just type print string. And what we're going to type is I am jumping. And now when I play, every time I jump, you see it says I am jumping in the top left of the corner. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little small, but you get the idea. And you may have noticed that little box I just threw in has kind of like these, like almost like a police sticker thing, because it's basically saying this only works when you're in development mode, which is what we are right now. I did not compile the game and run it by itself. This is while we're doing development. So basically it's saying that this function will only work when I'm in development mode. So the thing that says I am jumping in blue, it will only happen while we're in development. So if I want to, I can change how long it's on the screen, or what color it is, and it's always printing it to the logs. And this is something important that you should get into the practice from the get-go. So I'm just going to move this screen out of the way so I can show you what I mean. So there's a lot of information down here, and you should be keeping an eye on everything that's coming up. So a lot of times I've been in scenarios where people are using software, like in a professional setting, and they're getting messages that pop up from either the game or from their third-party software that's been customized by people at work. Like for example, we have these things called DCCs. They're like digital creation something. Anyways, it's a term that a company named Autodesk decided that we should call it. A DCC is basically a software that's external to your engine that allows you to create assets. And so like animation, modeling, all that stuff is done with a DCC. And that in itself is a whole other thing. And those softwares will allow you to create those assets that you see later in the game. For the most part, Unreal does not handle that kind of stuff inside. Neither does Unity. No one does, not yet. I'm hoping one day that'll happen, so we can replace all the DCCs that are out there. But from that DCC, you could have like custom software and has like little screens that pop up and say, "Hey, there's a problem," and most people just kind of skip it. They don't read the little messages. So try to, if you can, one of my suggestions is try to read any type of message that's popping up on the screen while you're doing stuff. Like here, for example, map check complete, 0 errors, 0 warnings, no problem. So at least the map checks out. I hope so, because it's a brand new one that came from Unreal. So, but always keep an eye on all those comments, because whenever you see a message pop up, it's for a reason. And it's always good to be very, like for example, here it's telling me there's no source control. Now, source control is actually a subject in itself. Let's see if I can, I'm not sure where they put it in Unreal 5, but it used to be up here somewhere. I don't know where they put it, but up here there used to be a source control section, which allowed me to basically attach Unreal to another software. So for example, for Spaceboat, I've been using something called Perforce. Whoop. You shouldn't need to see that, but you don't have the password, so it's fine. I put it on another screen. So here's an example of Perforce. Perforce is a software you should have something like it up and running as soon as possible, because this allows you to correct any mistakes or problems that popped up pretty quick. So because while you're doing stuff live in Unreal, if you click save, that's it, it's saved. You have no history being stored anywhere. So for example, this is the This is what I've been doing for Spaceboat. So if I go into submit it, these are all the times I've submitted something. Some of these are the Xbox, like for example, there's a submit in here that's for specifically for Xbox, and there's another one that was for the recent BAE. So every time I make changes, like I sit down and let's say I work for a day, I'm saving constantly, and then I decide to submit it onto the server. So like for example, this one, let's see, completed intro cinematic and thermal post-process, thermal cinematic up next. So this was September 27th. So if I look here, these are all the files that got affected by those changes, and they were submitted. So this allows you also to work with other people in case you're more than one person, because that way you can what they call submit a change, and then someone else can go get the latest version of what's going on.